Let's switch to another major industry that would be impacted by Trump's potential tariffs, the North American auto industry, which experts say would be very hard hit if the tariffs do eventually come into place in 30 days. For more on this, I'm joined by Flavio Volpe. He's the president of the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association and a member of the Prime Minister's Council on Canada-U.S. relations. Flavio, I know yesterday was a busy day for you. You were in the room with the Prime Minister. How did the deal to avoid tariffs come together?
Look, we went to the brink with the president yesterday, and I don't think that we started the day thinking that we were going to be able to get out of very punishing tariff levels, especially in automotive. You know, we all run in single-digit profit margins. 25% would put everybody at a loss across North America. I think it was, some prudent statecraft. The Prime Minister, as is his responsibility, is to try until the last whistle to try to bring together a deal that would help avert this, and we were successful yesterday, in part by listening literally to what the president is talking about. Never mind that, what we may think about the fentanyl argument actually being an emergency that would trigger these emergency tariffs here. He wanted to see some movement on it. We had a border plan. We went through it again and then enhanced it with a couple of other pieces that I think were important to him. I think this reprieve is just that. But I think it's a good surprise. And that 30 days, I think we're going to use to go and talk to those Americans that emerged at the brink yesterday, that had common cause with us. Not people that are necessarily allies of Canada, but people like Senator Chuck Grassley, who is a senior Republican senator who said, look, I have no quarrel with the president's trade plan, but I represent a state full of farmers, and potash is going to cost a lot of money. Don't do it. And then the National Association of Manufacturers in Washington, who said a lot of stuff that we do here is made from raw materials in Canada or subcomponents from Canada. Don't do this. And so we're going to spend the next 30 days talking to them.
How important was it for the auto industry to avoid these tariffs and to continue to avoid these tariffs?
Look, like I said, we operate in single-digit profit margins. So if you're a supplier who's selling seats from London, Ontario to a Jeep plant in Toledo, Ohio, you're probably selling $100 million worth of seats per year. That means there's a $25 million bill that somebody's got to pay. If Jeep doesn't pay it and you have to pay it, you can't lower your prices by 25%. You have to be liquid. You got to take that money and you got to go put it in deposit that it's going to go be paid as a tax. Nobody can pay that bill in automotive in Canada, in the U.S., or in Mexico.
Do you think you're going to be successful over the next 30 days speaking with the American lawmakers and convincing them to not eventually support these tariffs coming into effect?
I'm not sure. I do know that if we're appealing to their regard for Canadian interests, then we've lost already. That can't be the argument. We have to be able to convince Lisa McLean, who's a congresswoman for the 9th District in Michigan, who has $500 million worth of exports from her district annually into Canada in auto parts, that this is going to be a real big problem for her personally, locally, and that we would like to help her understand that and avoid that. She's important. She's the chair of the Republican Conference, which, in Canadian terms would be like the party caucus, and to convince influential senators, Republican senators from Tennessee, that this is going to affect your Volkswagen operations in Chattanooga in ways in which you don't have to care about what's happening in Hamilton or Niagara or Brampton. But if you can't get the parts that come from here, or you can't get the steel that comes from here, then Volkswagen shuts down. We did this in Trump 1.0. It was very tough. It's a little tougher now because he's a little bit more aggressive, and he certainly is more confident, but it's not impossible. Yesterday taught us that it's not impossible.
That's Flavio Volpe from the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association. Flavio, thanks for being with us.
Always a pleasure.